Everyone who's here. Now I know you've probably got questions from yesterday, points of clarification and such things, which I'm sure we'll explore and address as we go on through the day. So if everyone's sitting comfortably, you won't need your pens and papers for this. You can put all that down on the ground, on the floor. Mind your head. Nothing like starting the day with a giggle, is there? So here's an invitation for you. Wherever your hands are, and you know where your hands... Stop sniffing your fingers, Amanda. Do we need a window opening here?
No, yeah.
Are you sure? It smells like someone's done a personal sound. And it's not me, because I was on up to that. Someone trumped.
No, I can't smell it. I can't smell it, actually. Now I was always told that you smelled it, dwelled it.
A delta dwelling. So if you remember anything about the morning, it start with a... So again... Don't need to concentrate, don't need to think. But what I'm inviting you to do, because you all know how to imagine and pretend, don't you? And you do. You do, you do. You do, you do, you do. Wherever your hands are, and this is a function of what you can do, the invitation is to pick one of them, not both, and in your imagination, in your pretendiness in that reality, pretend that hand can't move. And pretend that hand really won't move as much as you want. So this is a function of you putting some conscious effort into one simple thing. And we can explore what that means later. So my invitation is to pick one hand, really pretend that that hand can't move. And while you continue pretending that hand can't move, and it really can't if you pretend that it can't move, that can become one focus of your conscious attention. While you continue to pretend that hand can't move, you can go into a profoundly deep learning trance. So the idea, while you continue to focus on that, is to go over some of the ideas and themes from yesterday. And some of those ideas and themes are inductions, which was the start of one story, wasn't it? And learning. So an induction is really no much more than what you're doing now. If you are able, and I know you can, it's just whether you can continue to focus on the pretendness of one hand being completely unable to move, while you allow yourself, really allow yourself, to open up so much, so deeply, that you can learn consciously and unconsciously at the same time. And notice your own signs of trance as you focus, pretend that that hand really can't move. And if you try to move it, in your pretendiness, you'd realize that you can't. So focusing on that, noticing that while that's true, in your pretend imagination, you can learn more than you've ever learned consciously, unless you're in trance now. And then you can match what you've learned in different ways, and that's nice. So allow yourself to notice what you're noticing while you continue to pretend a hand really can't move. And if you try to move it, as long as you continue pretending you can't, you won't be able to. And that inability to move that hand allows you, and it really does, to open your unconscious, because your conscious mind can continue pretending while your unconscious does what your unconscious is most expert at doing. And that's a variety of different ways. Now a long time ago, and it is a long time, it's many, many years, more than a decade, my friend, my partner, my lover, was in the house where we shared, and I'd gone out for the whole day to do other things. Now, something about that person is their mother has the brilliant ability to think she knows what's right for other people. And that really kind of encompasses the idea where she'll go out of her way, a long way, to do nice things for other people that she really thinks they need and want in their life. And I guess you can guess that's not always well received. So I was out all day doing different things, and I don't really remember what I was doing. And that's okay. But when I got in, you see, in that house, I had a study, or I kind of do some work. And inside that study, which is the general 4 walls and a door to go in, there's 2 bookshelves that take up an entire wall, almost from the floor to the ceiling. There's another bookshelf against another wall. That's the standard sort of 1.5 meters long, with 7, 8, 9 shelves. And then there's the computer desk, the place where I can sit, function, read, use the internet, shift from one topic to another. And on top of that, there's a row of books and DVDs. Now that's just the study. In the living room, there's 2 bookshelves in there. One goes about half as high as the wall. Has about 4 shelves on. And the top shelf on that doesn't have books put inside the kind of way where you can see the title. That's got a lot just sitting on the top, piled on top of one another. And there's another bookshelf in the same living room that's filled with books too. And I've got a lot of books. There's a spare room where there's another wall-to-wall bookshelf. So there's a lot of books. I was kind of wondering how many there were. Maybe there's 1,000, maybe it's a little bit more, maybe it's a little. There really are hundreds of books. So when I got in, I was kind of shocked to see my partner, sweaty, a headband on, and smiling like a Cheshire cat. And she said, like, I've done something. And I went, okay, what is that? And she went, well, I thought I would reorganise all of your books for you to make them easier to find. And you know when you get a shock, one aspect's kind of going, what have I just heard? Or what? Another aspect is thinking, oh my God. And there's another aspect thinking, why? How did you get this into your head? That organising all of this would be a good thing for me. And then she said, well, you know what I did? And it really has taken me all day. I started off on each different bookshelf. And I looked at some of the books. Some of them I've read, she said. Some of them I've not read. So I thought it'd be a really good idea to start to organise each shelf alphabetically. And I was kind of, wow, okay, go on. And then she said, well, I'd started that, and I'd done one shelf alphabetically by author, and then that continued to another shelf, until I'd done a full bookcase. And then I'd done another bookcase alphabetically by order. But then I thought, why do the bookshelves, why not do the full room and let the shelves from the different bookshelves run into each other, just kind of like a library, A to B, C to D. And I did one full room, and that took quite a lot of hours to do. But then I thought, oh, what about if you would like them organised by book title, alphabetically? So I rearranged that full room, and then I went into your study to start to do the same. And it'll make it so much easier for you to find the books that you'd like to find. Then I noticed some of the books, you could kind of group them into categories. Some, because I know she said you love Joseph Campbell, were already all together with the Joseph Campbell stuff. But that was okay, because that would then make it useful to go back and organise them by author, not book title. So there was a lot of reorganising going on with good intentions and ideas. And one of the ideas, if you do choose to study such things, not necessarily hypnotherapy, because you've all got a vast, deep, and expanding array of interests. Some people call them hobbies, choices of life, how you like to occupy your time in a different kind of, your learning trance. But something I've had a little interest in for a while is the ideas of Zen and Buddhism, esoteric Christianity, esoteric any religion. And one of the ideas of Zen, and it's an important part, and it's an important part of Buddhism, it's to get this balance. And balance is important between practice and drills and repetition to actually doing something for real, where you can mostly stop all conscious thought and allow the skills and ideas or neural pathways or intuitions to be at the forefront of what you do, while occasionally it's necessary swapping and changing intentions. You see, if you choose to write out, to develop, to reorder your understanding of some of the functions of a story, and do that effortfully again and again, I'm as sure as I can be that when you choose just to trust your unconscious, having given your unconscious all the learning, food and nutrition, the stories that you selected with a conscious intention, are going to be there and appropriate, and you'll be able to change, to shift, to redirect aspects and elements of your stories, your ideas. Zen's very much about the freedom of the restrictions of the natural pairs of opposites. And that's one of the things with language. You recall back to yesterday and days gone by too, 4 or 6, that if someone uses the word self-esteem, depression, public speaking, you really want to explore the meaning of that, because meanings of words are varied and complex. So language, as they say in Latin, is sakya, and that means both a blessing and a curse at the same time. And that's the freedom from pairs of opposites, to move away from the either or, from the labels, having learnt the labels and the either or, to move into what Steve Gilligan would call disciplined flow, where your unconscious is open and fully functional, without the conscious mind's restrictions, limitations, just the same way as if you're continuing to imagine that the hand really can't move. That's where your conscious mind is, focused and attentive, while the rest of you, each of both of you, can be absorbing, developing, recategorizing, shifting. So you're not directed in one particular way, or two or threes. You've got access to the full library and libraries of your unconscious resources. So in Buddhism, one of the stories is Buddha was born from his mother's side, an enlightened being. Now you know that's a myth. People aren't born out of people's sides being able to walk and talk. At least not yet. At least not until the new age of genetics and biotechnology. But something that's more believable is being born a prince. He kind of chose, in some sense, his own interests, his own ideas, and his own, to some extent, education, which really revolved a lot about either becoming a king or some sort of teacher. And he opted for the teacher, though he didn't really know it. He began to study the different religions, the different ways of freedom, and the pairs of opposites, freedom from desire and fear, to just be. And my readings and listens of those stories suggest he tried a lot of different ways, because none of them worked for him. They became close, some he thought were ridiculous, but eventually, sitting under some fig tree, meditating away, in an instant, that had taken a lifetime, as the story goes, he simply got it. Something made complete sense to him, to no one else. And he sat there completely still for 7 days without moving. And then after 7 days, he stood up, walked some distance, and looked back for a further 7 days at the place where he'd been sitting. We'd call that a perceptual position, but and then for another 7 days, he walked between where he was sitting and where he was standing looking back at his sitting, to walk in between two spots for 7 days. We might call that a parts integration. And then having spent 21 days, 7 sitting in one place immovable, 7 standing looking back to the immovable spot, and another 7 walking in between the two. The gods and goddesses came down and implored him to teach this to everyone for the benefit of all humankind and for the benefit of yourself. What I'm inviting you to do is to go inside as deeply or as lightly as you can, want to and do, and in between your conscious and unconscious, which really don't exist, they're just words, symbols that point to something else, is to with intention request that your unconscious mind connect all of the different associations and dots, to make some sort of arrangement or commitment for conscious practice, to search stories for meanings, analogies, ideas, the things that are going to stand out immediately, and also through your practice, the different types of integrations, meanings and learnings you really can get deeper. You really can, through practice, trust your unconscious, so you can give your full attention to the outside world, the people you work with, to calibrate, to connect, knowing that you'll be able to easily allow the stories to come. There's no need to force them. It's just a question of your intention. An intention of your question, and whether you want to go inside and have your unconscious create an imaginary Rolodex that you can flick through for stories, authors, ideas, themes, relevancies. Where your unconscious really can connect. So you've got access to the themes and stories in ways that can be most useful to you. And again, you don't need to think this one out. Give your conscious mind something to do and trust the rest and come from you. Inspiration, lifetime, stories, films, ideas. It's really all there. The only way you can restrict that is with too much conscious thought and effort. And that's what Buddha said when the gods and goddesses said, you must teach this for the benefit of the whole humankind, for everyone, for the animals, the trees, the rocks. And what he said was, this can't be taught. What a surprise, huh? And that's the same way with Zen. It can't be taught. Esoteric Christianity or alchemy can't be taught. But what he did say is, I can teach the path there. I can teach you techniques, ideas, mantras. But ultimately, whatever freedom, nirvana, moksha, rapture is, you got to figure that out for yourself. Will help you create the context where it could happen spontaneously. But through your own effort, your studies, the ideas you take from here, the techniques from there, you got to work it out or let it come for yourself in your own way, your own shape, your own forms, your own techniques. And that's about new material, a lot of reorganizing of the all. Letting go what's truly not yours, what you know doesn't work. Letting go of the need to understand, the need to do well, the need to be perfect, the need to be smart. As you really can be in. And you are from moment to moment. Just that. That's the you. That's not the you think you know. That's the you between thoughts. After all, who are you when you stop thinking in between thoughts? What can emerge, develop out of great wisdom and virtue? As you reorganize differently. And having come back to the mild shock and surprise of having books, shared books, library books, study books, reorganized, after I'd kind of composed myself a little and wondered, well, how was I organizing all of those books in the first place? Some by topic, others by relevancy, others by categories where the categories of the books in some way came together and didn't. But then something really important for me, and you know this too, there's no one way to organize or categorize. I can just know where a book is because I've had it there a little while ago. So there's something for me about the time and space. How long ago did I look or read? There's also that idea where if it's a quote or an idea I want, I've got several ways to discover the many books that may be relevant. So if you consider a database where you can search by any theme you want, a title, a name, a concept, an idea, a story you read once, and all of those different connections inside you. So I really appreciated the gesture. Sure, I would utilize my time differently doing something else. Yet it really didn't matter, because all I needed to do was look and find what was immediately relevant. And if I couldn't, what's the big deal in that? Because inside of you is the ability to remember deeply with intention. If it comes easy consciously, that's fine. But there's other ways you can reorganize, remean, find and discover. Trusting your unconscious, while that aspect of your conscious mind can do something else. Focusing on pretending your hand won't move, pretending your eyes won't open. And with that conscious, constant application of the conscious mind into something that's a pretend, an imagination, other aspects of you are free to go beyond the limits of a conscious mind. And that, if you read about Erickson, is how he works. He certainly studied and practiced. There's something, and I don't know what, for you or how, where you can evolve, transform in ways that probably surprise your conscious mind. And I don't know now if, as, when and while, your hand can move as you return, reorganized, organizing, and exploring your own depth of trance and story, your own abilities to heal, evolve, and start to smile and laugh for absolutely no reason. That's the spirit. It is the spirit. Everyone reorientating in some way? Gucci Intense Oud. Brilliant, isn't it? Now, if you reflect back onto that trance, what are you remembering about the structure or the content, as well as whatever meanings you're making? Anyone can start.